Good evening, everyone. Coming to you live from Dubai. In fact, this happens to be the first live for me. As soon as I've landed, it's just been about 3-4 hours since I landed in Dubai, and even before heading to my hotel, I decided to go and check out the Indian team at practice. Right now, it is about 10:30 at night in Dubai. Of course, it's going to be close to midnight in India, but just about half an hour ago, the Indian team finished their practice session. So it was a long practice session. In fact, 3.5 hour long practice session. They came in around 6:30. By the time they started off with their practice, it was about 6:45, and it was a long practice session, as I mentioned. We are at the moment at the ICC Cricket Academy. This is where the Indian team practices. Let me just show you a bit of the settings around me. As you can see, this is a nice cafe. It's still open, thankfully, because I hadn't eaten much. So, grabbed a snack or two here. And right behind that is the academy. And that's exactly where the Indian team had also been practicing. Sorry about this. I'm just trying to fix my frame. It's all makeshift now. I've not even unpacked properly, actually. So my suitcase is somewhere else, and I reached here. So by tomorrow, I think I'll be better prepared. So let me just try and fix this as quickly as I can. There you go. Yeah, this seems better, slightly better. So yeah, coming to you live from the ICC Academy. This is exactly where the Indian team practiced. As I mentioned, 3.5 hour long practice session. I'm going to give you all the details of what happened in this. And hi to everyone who's joining us. Siddharth Das, I can see your comment. I'll try and answer some of your questions as well as I go along. But first, let me just focus on some very important areas. One good news. First up, even before I get into the practice session, first up, no dew. So that's the first thing I came and noticed here in Dubai. That is there going to be dew or not? And as I said, it's 10:30 now, and I've been here from around 7 p.m. and all throughout there was no dew. So that's one great news for all of you. You know exactly how dew played an important role here in previous matches that India has played. That wasn't seen today. That does not mean it cannot come on another day. Every day is a different day for it, but today it's not there, and that's a great sign. Of course, I've done a more detailed video on Sports Today about that, so do check that out as well. So he says, match itself end before 9 p.m. So somebody's sent a question. Sorry, I can't see your names because these questions are coming thick and fast. Yeah, it finishes before 9 p.m., but there was no dew all throughout. As I said, we've been here from 7 p.m. onwards, and I was watching it very closely. Uh, so no dew at all. Sridhar Saivarkar, Rupan, Buha, Nyogi, good evening to all of you. Thank you for your questions. I'll try and take it a little later, but as I mentioned, I'm just going to give you different pieces of news. The first bit, no due. If you want more details as to how that can affect the tournament and how it was, I did a live test. All of that you can check out the video. It's just been uploaded on Sports Today. That's a more detailed video on due, so I won't spend too much time talking about it. Let's get to the Indian practice session. So Indian practice session, they started off with a great fun game, which is concentrating on their fielding drill, and I really enjoyed watching that actually. They had a stump and they divided into three teams, and they had to, every time you hit a stump, there were points given to that team. And that game went down to the wire. It was won by Rohit Sharma's team. And in that also, Rohit Sharma was the last one to throw. And it was basically depending on his throw, and he threw the ball and it hit the stump. So they won, and there was great celebrations after winning that fun game. It's a warm-up game. Most of the time you see teams do different warm-up exercises. Sometimes it was used to be coco, sometimes they played football. Today they did a fielding drill where they had to hit the stump. And one thing that really stood out for me watching that game is the kind of camaraderie that I saw within the team members. Recently we've heard many stories that were doing the round, and people were worried about, how the team would be gelling, about insecurities within the playing members. And while some of those concerns may still hold true, but overall it was lovely to see the entire team bonding over that fun game that they played. So that's how they started. Then it was the usual batting drill. Virat Kohli batted for very long. Rohit Sharma did too, and they went in order. Shubman Gill looked very elegant, as always. Pretty much the same sort of a batting session for Rohit and Virat, and they had a long batting session. But actually, Shubman outdid them in terms of the number of minutes that a batter batted. So, uh, I mean, it was close to an hour, if I'm not mistaken, for Shubman, and it was a slightly shorter batting session, less than an hour for both Rohit and Virat. But Shubman looked very elegant. There was injury concerns about Rishabh Pant, as you know. He had gotten hit on his knee in practice yesterday, is what I had heard from people that were there. And But today he did bat, and he batted absolutely regularly. Only thing, I was telling you about the warm up exercises, and they did a lot of fitness drills after that. Those intense exercises Rishabh was not doing. So I think he's still not 100% in terms of how his knee is feeling. But in terms of batting, he batted, and he had a proper long, whatever 40, 45 minute long batting sessions that you have. He had a full batting session. So that's, again, great news. But at the moment, as you all know, he's not a regular starter. So, it's nothing much to worry about for most people. But I'm gonna, get to the one standout feature about India's practice session that really stood out, and that was their focus on one particular aspect of the game. That was six hitting, especially from the middle order onwards till the end, starting from KL Rahul, Hardik Pandya, Shreyas Iyer, from that batting order onwards, and I'll get to the tailenders as well. One thing you could see clearly that the focus was on six hitting. Now, the ground that they're practicing in is the ICC Cricket Academy. It's a pretty big ground. In the sense, if you're hitting a six here, you're pretty much clearing the boundary in any ground that you may be playing. Even if you're playing at the Dubai International Stadium, which, by the way, is just about 500 meters from where I'm sitting. So very close, not even a kilometer, less than that. So the focus was on six hitting, and might I add, from that middle order till the lower order, everyone was doing that, and boy, were they hitting some fine sixes. So, if practice is anything to go by, the Indian batters are looking in red hot form. Some massive, massive sixes I saw from the bats of the Indian batters. The sweetest sound, I'll have to say this again, some of you may like it, some of you may not like it. The sweetest sound of the ball hitting the bat was from KL Rahul's bat. Sweetest timing. And unlike the KL Rahul that you sometimes see, he's brilliant on a given day, can frustrate you on another day when it comes to his strike rate. But today, I must tell you that he was very aggressive in the entire batting session. I don't think there was any focus on defense. All he was doing was just tonking the ball for big sixes, sweet sounding, clean sixes. So he hit a lot of sixes. Another one who was hitting it very clean, Hardik Pandya. In fact, in terms of brute power, like if KL Rahul was all about timing in his sixes, Hardik was all about brute power. And he was using that, strong hands and the wrist that he uses at the end to generate that bat speed and really hit a ball out of the park. And so while most other batters that you see, like a Shubman I spoke about earlier, or a KL Rahul, in the range when it's in their hitting range, in that arc they're hitting, you can see that. But with Hardik, it's very different because not only he hits those sixes when it comes in the arc straight down the ground, even when it's good length or short of good length, which most other batters will defend, he was trying to hit sixes for that as well. Not really short, but short of good length, sort of, length balls. He hits them like with this jab, like one wrist and the bat speed jab, and that also was flying out of the square boundary for a six. So, in terms of touch and the timing, it was a sight to watch the Indian batters, and that's exactly when I was thinking that I've seen batting sessions of a lot of other teams as well. Uh, this kind of pure hitting I haven't seen from very many international teams at the moment. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm not equating that to match form or match batting or anything. Just talking about how they were looking in the practice session, and it looked all good. And then, apart from Shreyas, KL Rahul, as well as Hardik Pandya hitting a lot of these balls for sixes, The one standout feature, I saw the lower batting order also. Every one of them, I think there was a clear cut instruction to everyone that you have to practice your six hitting here. Um, Whether it is with the thought of how they think the pitches are going to be or what the tournament is going to be like. The other thing I noticed that the outfield was very slow, at least in this ICC Academy ground where we were playing. So more focus was on clearing the boundary rather than hitting them on the ground. I don't know whether the same conditions will prevail in the Dubai International Stadium, but at least I did see them here. The outfield was a bit slow compared to most other grounds that I've seen in India. So in Dubai, it was slightly slower. So six hitting was on the focus. Akshar Patel, clean hitting, huge sixes. He was hitting. Ravindra Jadeja also only focusing on hitting big sixes, and also he was hitting some of the biggest sixes. I know his form in the white ball with the bat hasn't been great, but here he was focusing on really tonking the ball. So that's the other thing. And then the tail, Harshit Rana, boy does he pack a punch. We all know that he has batting abilities, but he has brute power as well. So really using a lot of muscle and almost tearing the ball into pieces, sort of a bat swing he has, and that's how hard he was hitting the ball. Harshit Rana, Arshdeep Singh, did a long batting session, was hitting massive sixes. You'd be surprised. I'm going to take another name, Kuldeep Yadav. I quite like the way Kuldeep bats, by the way. He looks a very good batter. At least he has the ability to be a very good batter. But he's more old school, right? More technically correct, good defense, and may will caress the ball and all that. That's how you know Kuldeep Yadav, the batter. But today, even he was tonking it, just hitting sixes. Now, Washington Sundar, again, a very technically correct batter that that sometimes takes his time and caresses the ball and hits like that. Even he was hitting sixes. So there was a clear cut strategy today that the Indian team came with, is to practice their six hitting. And from whatever I saw, they were rather successful in doing that. So that was the focus area of the Indian team in their practice session today. Apart from that, once they finished the practice session, they did some other fitness drills. One was those sprinting drills that they were doing, and every player did that. One of the fittest to be doing that, of course, was Virat Kohli, and we were all keeping a close eye on him doing it. But everyone did it after they had done their batting session. So this was pretty much it. Team was looking very relaxed. Yeah, one more thing. Gautam Gambhir, the coach, was giving a lot of practice to KL Rahul, the wicketkeeper. So he was practicing behind the wicket. If you remember in the England series, there were a few occasions where he was really not up to scratch with his wicket keeping. But now they made it very clear that KL is going to be a number one wicketkeeper batter. So with that in mind, he spent a lot of time practicing it wicket keeping as well, which is another good sign, which is also telling you that at the moment they're not thinking of replacing him with anybody else. And so they shouldn't. I think, start of the tournament, you don't need to panic or take any of those decisions. So he was doing a lot of that as well. So yeah, that is pretty much what they did in the practice session today. From what I know, there will be no practice of the Indian team tomorrow. So it's going to be a rest date. 17th today and 18th they're resting. And then 19th, a day before the Bangladesh match, they might have another practice session. They'll of course have a press conference. We'll keep bringing you all the latest updates on that. But today it was pretty much this that the Indian team did. I'll try and answer a few questions. Sir, who would be a fast bowling duo going by practice session? Who's bowling well? Shami, Arshdeep, Shami, Harshit, Arshdeep, Harshit. By the way, let me tell you about Shami. Shami was the only one who didn't do any batting. I wonder why. All the tailenders were batting, but Shami did not do much of the batting. But if you ask me who will be your duo, I wouldn't want to change much. I think Shami was your match winner earlier as well. I'd like to stick with Shami and Arshdeep. Arshit was also good in the limited opportunities he's got, but I'll still keep him as a backup. So Shami and Arshdeep are going to be the ones. Sarat Chandra is asking me, sir, are you going to Pakistan? Is that news true? Well, I don't know at the moment. The news of me getting the visa is absolutely true, and that's my responsibility as a reporter to be having the visa of where the tournament is going to be played. Like when the tournament was in India, you had Pakistani journalists who came. Of course, the Pakistan team was playing there. The Indian team is here, but I'm going to be with the Indian team wherever the Indian team is. But you never know in the tournament if in that scenario India doesn't make it to the semis, or if they make it to the semis, don't make it to the final, then I'd want to go and cover the semis and the final. It's a big ICC tournament, and we cover. I mean, my mind takes me back to 2017, the last Champions Trophy I covered. And India Pakistan played the final. But let's say India had not made the final, I would have still stayed back and covered the final, right? So as a cricket journalist, it's my job to cover the sport. And if the tournament is happening in two different countries, I would want to be there to cover all the important games. At the moment, my focus is completely on India games, so I'm only going to be covering India games. But yeah, if there was a scenario where there's another important game which I need to cover, we are an English channel which also cater to interest that people may have with like teams like Australia, New Zealand, and all of them are playing their matches there. So I'm a cricket reporter, and I will go wherever the tournament is to cover it. Rupayan is asking, sir, Kuldeep or Varun in the playing 11? Any chance of Washi in the 11? No, all of them batted. I doubt they'll get in a Washi. Washi for Bangladesh is not a bad shout because of the left-handers. They may look at him. But if you ask me one out and out spinner, which they'll only play one, so it's Varun or Kuldeep, I'm going with Kuldeep. And in the all-rounder category, you have two. I think Akshar and Jadeja will play. Dew Sarachandra is asking, I've done a different video on that. Do check that out just now. Uh, so Naidu is saying, what's your view on no India flag at the Park Cricket Stadium? Well, Naidu, I did try and find out from the organizer why it was, and they said that it was purely protocol. There is no, uh, uh, you know, intent from them to purposely not have the India flag. They said the protocol says that you have the ICC flag. You have the host nation's flag, which will be Pakistan in that case. Pakistan is hosting and the ICC flag. And then the two teams that are going to be playing the match, their flags are going to be there. So that's the explanation that we've got from PCB, who are the organizing board. Ashish Dhar is asking, who's the greatest sportsman of them all? Uh, I'll take time. Some other day, I'll take time and I'll do a Q&A one day and just, try and answer those questions itself. Jatin is saying hello from Meerut. Hello to you as well, Jatin. Subscribe if you haven't already. Through the Champions Trophy, I'll be bringing you all the latest updates from here. Sunny Wayne is asking, I'll try and answer this question before I wind up. Who are your top four teams in the semis? Very tough one, very tough one. From India side, I'm picking India. I had picked Pakistan earlier between Pakistan and New Zealand, but now it's a tough call, very tough call. I picked Pakistan because they're playing at home, and so that's why I picked them. But it's a 50-50 for me between Pakistan and New Zealand. I'd like to see a match or two for them and then make my pick and be 100% sure. But if you put a gun to my head, from what I've seen so far in the Tri Series, I'll go New Zealand. So I may have to change a bit. I'm saying India, New Zealand from that side. And from the opposite side, I'm going South Africa. South Africa as one. And between England, Australia, and Afghanistan, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I would have picked Australia if they were full strength, without doubt. They are not. So I am it's a very tough. I'm even tempted to say Afghanistan. I'm not sure. I can't pick a team there. We'll have to, but I've South Africa I've picked. So let me see a bit of the form of the team. If you're putting a gun to my head alongside Australia, okay, I'll pick Australia just for their pedigree. Very tough. Sorry, took me a long time, but I just didn't want to give you a casual answer. Fit Monk is asking, are players following the new policies imposed from BCCI? Yes, they are. There are no families. That much I know. And secondly, the story that went viral of Virat having ordered food from outside. So for those of you who are interested, I believe he ordered something from Wagamama, and if you don't know, it's one of my personal favorites as well. Wagamama, they do Pan Asian fusion cuisine. I've gone to multiple Wagamamas. They're a chain. I first went to them in London, and now wherever I find them, I go. I love their food. And so there is one in Dubai. So he had ordered from there, and I'm not surprised. I love the food too. Um Again, lots of question on due, guys. I've done a separate video on that, so do check that out. Jatin, don't be so harsh. Yeah, come on, Jatin, you're being so harsh. Siddharth is a lovely guy, huh? So do check out all the videos that we do. Okay, I'm gonna take one final comment before I wind up. KP says Rohit Gill, Virat, Shreyas, KL, Jadeja, Hardik, Akshar, Kuldeep, Shami, Arshdeep. So this will be the 11 against Bangladesh. KP, I would imagine. For me also, this seems like the first choice 11. So, uh, you should do it. Okay, Anu Rana says February में पुलवामा में अटैक हुआ और इंडियन मीडिया वहां जा रही है जहां इंडिया के दुश्मन है. Anu, let me try and answer that question. I thought I won't touch it and it's not even I've reached there, but since you brought it up, I'll try and answer that question. I don't understand that if I am if it is let me tell you, Mr. Jaishankar went for a summit to Pakistan. Does that make him anti-national? He's a foreign minister. He went there. Why did he go there? There was a conference for which he had to attend because he's representing his country. If I am going to whatever country that I'm going to for my work, that's my work. That in no way means that I am doing things against the interest of my country. From where does that logic come about? I can't understand. It's my job to cover cricket. I'm going to travel to whichever country cricket is happening and whichever game I think is important for me to cover, I'm going to travel to that. I'll give you an example. Peak Cold War, Russia and US had, didn't have any relationship. That's fine, but they met each other on the sporting field. You don't have to be the best friends to be meeting. If there is a game to be played, you play the game. The journalists travel, they cover it. You know, I can't understand. And North Korea is a country where a lot of countries don't have relations with. But if you are a football journalist and if your team is playing in North Korea, you have the Asian Champions League and North Korean team is there. And lots of other countries, when their team goes and South Korea, North Korea don't have any relationship. But if a team happens to draw the other team in the Champions League, Asian Champions League, they're playing against each other, journalists go and cover. The teams go and play. The Indian team has not gone. That is a decision that is with the BCCI and the government, and that they've taken the right decision. There may have been certain threat perceptions for the Indian team. That's why they've not gone. I'm not that important. The journalists aren't that important. There's no threat perception. If there was any threat perception to my life, I wouldn't travel. So I'm traveling and doing my job. How does that equate to all the other instances that you bring about ki attack hua, wo attack hua, whatever? I can't I can't believe you do that. And when people, I mean, I find it funny that when people talk about army and things like that, which is great, you have that great sentiment. I mean, I think I'm the first member of my family who's not joined the army. My father was in the army. My grandfather was in the Air Force. My father's elder brother was in the Air Force. My mother's father was in the Air Force. My great grandfather was in the British Army. So I know that's my family. I've grown up with that. Uh, so I understand all that. Nobody feels for them as much as I do. Believe you me when I say that. But I'm a journalist. I'm a cricket journalist. I will go and cover and do my job wherever I'm supposed to do. So that's simple as that. I didn't think I'll touch upon that, but a lot of you are asking, so I thought. About You're asking about the flag controversy. I've already answered that. My ride is here. He's waiting for me, so I'm going to take your leave. It was a great session. We're going to have a lot more as the tournament progresses. So I look forward to your company. I'm going to be here throughout the tournament. So subscribe if you haven't already. All my love to you guys. Take care. I'm going to take this comment. Siddharth says, hello, Nikhil. Loved your interview with Neeraj. Yes, I just did the interview in the morning. Neeraj Chopra, at his absolute candid best, he's spoken about his recent marriage, his form, what happened when he lost to Arshad. He's spoken about Arshad Nadeem as well. If you want to check that out, that interview is up on Sports Stories. So do check that out as well. Okay. On that note, I'm going to say bye bye to everyone. Mr. GTN has asked a question about the due. Mr. Shekhar, I've done a video on the due. Do check that out. Detailed video explaining everything. Check that out. I've just uploaded that on Sports Today. Two things you need to check out: the Neeraj Chopra interview, which I've just uploaded, as well as the due report that I've done live, due test that I've done live at the ground. See you guys. Take care. Bye bye.